Good evening. The boss of P&O Ferries is facing growing pressure to quit. Appearing before MPs this week, he admitted breaking the law. But even if he did leave, it's still unclear what it would mean for those who have lost their jobs. Kit Bradshaw has been following the story.
800 P&O seafarers have been facing an uncertain future since they were sacked just over a week ago. Somebody else whose employment prospects are uncertain tonight is Peter Hebblethwaite, the chief executive of P&O Ferries, who has an office here in Dover. That's because the Prime Minister has added his name to the long list of people calling for him to resign. The Transport Secretary Grant Shapps told Good Morning Britain earlier why he thinks it's time for the P&O boss to go.
We expect them, by law, to communicate that with workers, to sit down with their unions and to follow the law. We do not expect them, as the boss of P&O said yesterday, to brazenly go and deliberately break the law. So, and that's what they've done, and we will not let it rest there.
But even if the chief executive of P&O Ferries does resign, what difference would it really make? And is there any prospect of those 800 people getting their jobs back? I asked the Dover MP Natalie Elphick what changes she'd like to see.
Well, I think what we've seen is such disgraceful behaviour. The entire board of P&O should go. But most importantly, I want to see the workers reinstated. And that's what I've been working flat out to achieve, together with support for those affected workers and making sure that I work with ministers on this package of measures that's coming into Parliament next week to enforce the minimum wage here on the Channel.
And of course, the reason why there's been growing calls for the P&O Ferries chief executive to resign is because of his appearance yesterday before MPs, where he appeared to admit that the company willfully broke employment law when they failed to consult unions. But in a leaked email that he sent staff this morning, he appears to have rowed back on some of those claims. He told them no criminal offence has been committed, neither me, P&O Ferries or our shareholder DP World would allow it. There has been a failure to comply with the obligation to consult. He also wrote, this type of dismissal could not and would not happen again. This was a unique situation. But despite those reassurances, we've spoken to one union which represents about 150 P&O port workers here, and they say they're very anxious about their jobs.
You have to ask yourself, where is the trust? You've seen how underhand and sneaky Peter Hebblethwaite and his board can behave. You've seen it. The whole world has seen it now. How can we possibly take the word of Peter Hebblethwaite and his board when they walk around the port telling people not to worry? On the same day that they were doing that, they were escorting people off the ships with security guards bussed in, wearing balaclavas and carrying handcuffs for anybody that didn't come off the boats peacefully.
And I'm afraid there was further negative news from unions tonight because the RMT union and P&O management met earlier to try and talk about reinstating those 800 workers, or some of them, but the RMT says those talks broke up within 20 minutes with no sign of agreement. A protest is planned here in Dover tomorrow. Meanwhile, P&O's cross-channel ferries remain here in port. No sign of those services resuming anytime soon, and every day that's the case, they're losing the company a small fortune. Kit Bradshaw, ITV News, Dover.
In other news tonight, the jury in the trial of Ali Harbi Ali, who's accused of murdering Sir David Amess, has been played a police interview where he admitted killing the MP. He also confirmed that it was a terror attack. He said he targeted the MP because he voted on Syrian airstrikes and his details were accessible. He denied murder. The trial continues. Next tonight, a woman known as the Angel of Mostar for rescuing hundreds of children from war-torn Bosnia 30 years ago has stepped in again to help young people in Ukraine. Sally Becker from Brighton organised a mission to save a group of orphans trapped in a town under fire. Mary Stanley has her incredible story.
Sally Becker had promised her daughter that she wouldn't travel to the Ukraine, but her desire to help others was too strong. And so, following in her mother's footsteps, Billy joined the mission too. This week they brought 54 children to sanctuary in the UK. Their orphanage was situated in the Ukrainian town of Dnipro that had come under heavy bombing.
We boarded the flight, and just from the moment that we got on, it was just incredible. Everybody was lovely. The cabin crew could not have been better. And we were all prepared for the children. We had all the flags out, And the moment the kids walked on was just a moment I will never, ever forget.
Billy wasn't born when her mother hit the headlines in the 1990s for her courageous work in Bosnia, leading a convoy from Sussex to deliver aid and help wounded children. She dodged snipers and shell fire to save hundreds of lives. Sally Becker was imprisoned and shot during humanitarian efforts in Kosovo, but it's never stopped her. She'd been in Ukraine to meet doctors about an app, developed by her charity, to connect them with experts across the world. But hearing about the plight of the trapped orphans, she diverted to help.
I'm over the moon that it's over. It was a long, hard mission. I wasn't where I would normally be, shelling and sniper fire, and at no time was it like that. But it was a lot of travelling, 5 planes, 3 buses, hours and hours on trains. It was just difficult because of that. But it's so good to know that they're here, they're safe, and now I can start preparing for the next mission.
The children are now being cared for by a charity in Scotland. But the Angel of Mostar wants to help others. Project Light aiming to bring hope amongst the darkness of war. Mary Stanley, ITV News.
She really is an inspiration, isn't she? More of the day's news now. And the High Court has ruled the Home Secretary, Priti Patel, acted unlawfully by extracting data from the mobile phones of migrants who had arrived by boat. In what's described as a secret blanket policy, immigration officers would seize mobile phones from asylum seekers as soon as they arrived on our shores. Vast quantities of data would then be extracted. Meanwhile, a high-ranking member of an organised crime group thought to be behind the transportation of hundreds of migrants has been jailed. Noor Allah was arrested during a series of National Crime Agency raids. And finally tonight, travel companies and airports are reporting a dramatic rise in bookings after COVID travel restrictions were lifted 2 weeks ago. One firm in Worthing is taking on an extra 30 staff to cope with the increase in demand. Meanwhile, Gatwick will reopen its South Terminal on Sunday. Tom Savides has more.
Remember these? Holidays abroad? Well, they're back in force.
Did you know that every night in Disneyland there's a fireworks show?
The Sanders had to put their dream family holiday on hold because of the COVID pandemic. Now that UK travel restrictions have been lifted, their trip to Walt Disney World in Florida is back on track.
Having missed out on a couple of opportunities over the last couple of years, which we really wanted to do, the time was absolutely right to get booking and plan for some fun going ahead.
This travel company in Worthing is recruiting an extra 30 staff to cope with a rise in inquiries and bookings since restrictions were lifted 2 weeks ago.
This is the largest recruitment campaign that we've ever launched. Clearly, the pandemic has hit the travel industry hard, but with the market returning, we want to bring more people on board to ensure that we can support that demand. With testing and travel restrictions now relaxing, we're really able to show what we can do with a wider range of destinations on offer.
Gatwick's South Terminal, which was shut because of the pandemic, reopens on Sunday. It means hundreds more flights can take off and land each day. For families who've waited 2 years to travel, the summer is looking much brighter. Tom Savides, ITV News, Hove.
But for those of us staying here, what's the weather going to be like? Here's Philippa True.
Feels like home, whatever the weather. Valent Boilers and Heat Pumps sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
Good evening. It's been another beautiful day out there across the Meridian region. More of the same to come for Saturday, but for Sunday, I think it is looking a little bit cloudier, and that cloudier and eventually cooler weather will continue as we head into the new week. Out there at the moment, though, it remains dry and clear. Underneath clear skies, another chilly night on the cards. Temperatures inland widely 2 or 3 Celsius, lower still in rural spots. So a patchy frost in places by dawn. And much like last night, we could well see some areas of mist and fog developing, more especially around the North Kent coast. The potential for 1 or 2 dense patches here by morning. But the March sunshine will soon see to all that, melting away very quickly, and then a glorious day on the cards. Dry and sunny once again. Temperatures inland once again again on the warm side, high 17 or 18 Celsius. But if you are heading to the coast, it will feel a little fresher here with some onshore breezes. Of course, all the settled weather is thanks to high pressure. It's been with us for quite a few days now, and it stays with us right through the weekend. But as we head into Sunday, not all good news. We start to see low cloud encroaching from the east. That will linger at times as we head into the new week and feeling somewhat cooler with it.
Valent sponsors ITV Meridian Weather.
So make the most of that sunshine tomorrow. And that's all from us. We are back tomorrow at 10 to 7. But from me and the team here tonight, thanks so much for your company. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.